All right. Yep. Hello, YouTubers. Jeep. 1 second here. Hello, YouTube. How are we? Happy elections. Let me get TikTok rolling. I did not get that set up today. Sorry. I'm like, I wanted to eat some dinner first. And it went late, and I was like, So, hang on here. I was gonna go live. I should have gone live last. I was gonna go live last night, and I didn't. And I probably should have. But oh well. Hold on. All right, that should piss off enough trolls. Oh, TikTok, what are we doing? Moving things again, are we? Yes, we are. Every day they change something. I think it's like it's like that bad Helen Keller joke. Like, oh my God. Every freaking time they've moved things on me. Okay, doing better now, but Jesus Christ, TikTok. What is their damage? All right, hang on a sec. Getting the turkey. I do like the turkey hat, I must say. 1 second here. Coming back in a sec. La la la. TikTok always takes a second to set up, unfortunately. Oh, we'll try our whale. We haven't had the whale in a while. We do like our whale. All right, there we go. TikTok going live. All righty. Woo woo. Oops. Yep. Trim my hair and it gets all over my sweater. All right, mirror video. Boom. Boom, I say. We are good. We are here. See, I like these glasses with these. It's funny. My cheap little readers, but I do like them. All right, we are good. I've got my stapler. Not that I need my stapler. My water, much more important. Hello, TikTok. Hello. Oh, boy. Thank you for the gift, Big Hawk. So, la, la, la. That was fun. That was very fun. Very, very, very fun. So, ha, Republicans. So, kind of appropriate. It's 5th of November for the Brits out there. We kind of have our little bit of Guy Fawkes revenge here. It's like, remember the 5th of November. I told you I was in London on November 5th, 40 years ago. And a little kid came up dressed in some kind of outfit or something. I don't remember what it was, but I don't think he was wearing the mask per se. He was wearing, I think an old time clothing or something. And they were asking for a penny for the guy. And I remember I was like, oh, that's interesting. They were raising, I don't quite know what the concept of a penny for the Guy Fawkes, but a penny for him. But I don't remember now what the concept is of asking for a penny, like raising money for him or whatever it was. But it was cute. And then I read about it and I was like, oh, that's kind of a funky guy who either did, or I don't remember. Is it a little controversial whether he did actually try to blow up the parliament? But they tried to blow up the British parliament, would have done a lot of damage. And they caught them and executed them. And, that whole thing. But anyway, so kind of ironic that the Republicans have totally immolated. So, yeah, Democrats won huge last night. Huge. Super huge. Amazingly well how much the Dems did. What's great is everyone agrees. So election night in America, very off-season elections. Very off-season, like presidential every 4 years, congressional every 2 years. This is the 1 year where you get like a couple governors, things like that. Dems killed across the board. Absolutely across the board. It was insane. I got to tell you, probably you guys felt the same way. Going into this, I was like, whoa, right? The voters are going to do what they always do. They're going to go with the Republicans and say, yeah, we don't like Trump, but we hate Dems more. It was a blowout. It was actually, New York Times literally called it a blowout. Where was the phrase here? Look at my New York Times. They called it a wave election, which is great because wave elections are when a huge tidal wave comes in. That's considered a big deal in politics. Actually, I'll read you from the New York Times. It was the wave election of 2025. Democrats furious about President Trump's remaking an American government and society turned out in extraordinary numbers for an off-year election to sweep virtually every competitive election on the map. Thank you. Who was that? Oh, that was Lee. Thank you, Lee. To sweep virtually every competitive election on the map. The results served as a rebuke of Mr. Trump and his Republican Party and a salve for Democrats who have not had many good nights in the last year. Democrats finally showed some fight, and it was a bad night for Mr. Trump. I mean, anyway, it was great. I can go through, and I will go through some of the victories. I always have to do the gift pitch and the subscription pitch because, you know, I don't just do this for fun. I mean, I do this for fun. I do it because I care, but also this is what I do for a living. But thank you guys as well. But yeah, we've got subscriptions. Subscriptions are always good because subscriptions are basically, you know, you support me with a monetary every month. And that's actually kind of a nice way to be a little more secure because I know it's how much is coming in, but also you get special little emojis you can use. I've got a weekend show every Saturday, pretty much every Saturday at 11 a.m. That's just for subscribers only. I also do some special shows I was actually going to do one last night or this morning, and I should have, for subscribers only about the election. I should have, sorry. But that would be great. Gifts are also great. You can do all the little special gifts on TikTok and Discord, or YouTube, not Discord. Discord, we love you anyway, but on YouTube. And anyway, just keep them coming, guys. I appreciate it. So let's go through some of the elections just to kind of mention where Democrats won. New Jersey. This was a big one. New Jersey governor, Mikey Sherrill, first Democratic woman to be a governor of New Jersey. What's interesting is that's one that was close. That's one that we thought, maybe not. She won. I didn't see the final. What was the final tally? Was it 12, 13 points? Let me see here. Mikey Sherrill results. It was insane how well she did. Here we go. Pull it up. I'll give you the exact. Yeah, she beat him by more than 13 percentage points. More than 13 points. Guys, people, no, it was more than 13, Carmen, or German, more than 13. People thought this one's close. We're not sure how it's going to turn out, right? Ooh, 13 points? I mean, she got like 56 and he got 43. That's insane. 13 points is a blowout. I mean, it literally is a blowout. Having a blowout in an election that we were afraid was close, right? Virginia was not close, but you know, you worry about these things. Virginia, Abigail Spanberger. Remember, my name is Abigail Spanberger. She's great. That was her iconic ad she did the first time she ran for Congress. Former CIA. She's great. She is the first woman elected governor of Virginia. That was a huge victory. Virginia's lieutenant governor went Democratic. That's an interesting race because she is the first Muslim American elected statewide in Virginia. Virginia's House of Delegates, which is their local legislature, the state legislature. Lots of big victories for Democrats there, cementing their lead even a greater majority for the Democrats. California's Prop 50, big win by a big margin. That's the proposition that had to pass for California to be able to redistrict. California has, and honestly, every state should have this, California has fair and impartial redistricting. It's an independent commission that objectively redistricts. Redistricting is every 10 years, you do the census, and based on the census, we've got to reapportion which state gets how many members of Congress. The Senate, you always get 2 senators in each state. The House, it's based on your population. So each state gets a minimum of 1 House member, and the bigger the state, you could have 20. If you're California, you could have, I don't know, I always forget, is California 44 or something, 42? But you can have, or more. I always forget this. Alexa, how many members of Congress does California have? Alexa, you're an idiot. Alexa, how many members of the House of Representatives does California have? Oh, see, this is the thing. Especially after using ChatGPT. Alexa's just like ditzy. Hey, Google, how many members in the House of Representatives does California have?
On the website lao.ca.gov, they say California currently has 52 congressional districts. Voters
52. Okay, Google, stop. 52. That's okay. I was gonna, at first it said 40 something. I said, I think it's low 50s. Yeah, 52. So that's pretty big. Your Alexa's smarter than mine, Robin. So 52 for California. Washington, D.C. gets 1. Wyoming, I think, has 1 House member. So But what happens is you have the census every 10 years, and the census says, oh, California has more people, Illinois has less or fewer, Texas has who knows, and they rejigger and get more or less, more or fewer congressional seats based on that. But even once they get the congressional seats, maybe California gets, for example, let's say California goes from 52 to 54. Okay. Now they've got, well, where are you going to put them? California's already split up into 52 districts. Where do the extra 2 go? You've got to redraw the map. Well, when they redraw the map, the Democrats redraw it for Democrats, the Republicans redraw it for Democrats, and they redraw it in a way to screw the other party. Totally unfair. I can't believe, I'm actually intrigued that California has a commission to do it independently. We should be doing it nationwide that way. Thank you, Claire. Appreciate that. We should be doing it nationwide based on that. So what happened is California has a commission to independently draw the districts fairly. But because the Republicans started stealing congressional seats by redrawing the districts now, instead of waiting until the census, which isn't until 2030, Trump ordered the Republicans to start redistricting now in order to steal congressional seats from Democrats now. Because Democrats, looks like, especially now more than ever, like Democrats are going to win back the House of Representatives next year, and Trump doesn't want that because that will destroy his agenda. So Trump ordered them to steal seats from Democrats. Texas already did. Texas already redistricted. So Texas basically redrew its map and just cut out a bunch of Democrat seats. So Democrats will lose their seats next year or so. So California said, okay, you know what? Gavin Newsom, governor of California, Democrat, said, you know what? We've got an independent commission. We normally wouldn't do this, but because Texas is stealing seats in the middle of the year, which is totally BS, we don't do that. You don't rejigger the seats halfway through the decade. You just don't. He said, since they're doing it, we're going to do it too. But because California has the independent commission, they're required to get the permission of the citizens to rejigger them. My nose is, to get the permission of the citizens to rejigger the maps. So they had to go and do this Proposition 50, where the California voters voted and said, would you like to give us permission to rejigger the maps? And the California voters voted overwhelmingly, crazy margins, said yes. So that's what Proposition 50 was in California. So that was a big deal. Pennsylvania Supreme Court, 3 justices saved their jobs. Pennsylvania has some very confusing thing where, like, every 10 years, the judges, there has to be a vote to retain the judges. And this year, there was a lot of Republican agitation, activism, and there was concern the Republicans might actually remove 3 of the judges, the Democrats. And if they did, it'd be a disaster. I mean, Democrats are currently the majority on the court. It would be a disaster. Those 3 judges won. Democrats retain their majority on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. That's huge. New York City with Mamdani, the Democratic Socialist, ran as a Democratic Socialist candidate, won the mayorship, young 30s, like 33 years old, Muslim American, a lot of firsts here. Here's the thing. I'm not fully convinced. Okay, New York Democrats tend to win. I'm not fully convinced this is totally an anti-Trump thing. I shouldn't say that. I guess, I don't know. It's kind of hard. This one's a little more confusing because it's not like they beat a Republican. You know what I mean? So I don't quite get this as an anti-Trump thing. Thank you, Claire. Nonetheless, he had a big margin of victory. Even adding up the 2 guys after him, was it Cuomo and Sliwa? He still beat them. So like if Sliwa wasn't there, he still would have won. Mamdani would have won. So big victory for him. But again, I don't see that as necessarily a Trump thing. Maine, a critical state in next year's battle for Senate control, voters rejected a ballot measure that would have required voters to present photo ID at the polls and when requesting absentee ballots. So Republicans were trying to pass legislation to make it harder to vote, which typically favors Republicans, and the Mainers voted that down. So kind of crazy. This was great. Trump this morning, I'll show you a video. Trump is, he's funny. He's good at marketing, but he's not the smartest guy. Trump this morning blamed the results on the shutdown. I think this is it. Let me play this.
Last night it was not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody.
Oh, wait, wrong one. Hold on.
Also about the shutdown, how that relates to.
Hold on.
Also about the shutdown, how that relates to last night. I think if you read the pollsters, the shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans.
That was interesting. So Trump admitted that the shutdown was a big factor for Republicans doing poorly. Nose, as I said, is itching tonight. Was a big factor for Republicans doing poorly last night. That's interesting. Now, I have seen nothing to suggest that. I mean, I was Googling, haven't seen any polls, but clearly, I mean, Trump lies and gets confused, but it sounds like he got briefed by somebody who said their polls are not good. That the shutdown was a problem. Certainly in Virginia, it was a problem. I'm sure a lot of federal workers there because they're right next to us here in Washington. But for Trump to admit that was very interesting, that basically his policies screwed Republicans. Now, Trump is trying to, well, two different things. The Republican Party of California is suing because Trump's people yesterday said, the vote was stolen. It was all illegal. And this kind of crap. And actually, that was kind of funny. The White House spokeswoman, remember, Miss, she was like, there's so much voter fraud today in California. And a couple different reporters said, really, what are you basing that on? Facts. No. Like literally, what are you basing that on? What fraud are you talking about? It's just an established fact. She had no idea. She had no freaking idea what she was talking about. So they're suing today to try to overturn it. I don't know what their claim. Voter fraud. There's never voter fraud. They're going to win. Which is great. But what we're going to say. So California was good. Maine was good. Trump blamed it on the shutdown. Trump this morning, interestingly, he made a bigger push for Republicans to get rid of the filibuster. Now, filibuster, it's so hard to explain, but basically, in the House of Representatives, you need a simple majority to win on legislation. Now, there's lots of rules to stop legislation from coming up and everything, but nonetheless, once the legislation gets voted on, it's 51. In the Senate, or it's not 50% or 50.1%, whatever, right? In the Senate, to pass most legislation, you need the same thing, 50.1%. So just over 50, one vote more than 50%, right? Oops. Okay, my sister, why is she messaging me? I'm looking here to see. Oh, that was that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was funny. But in the Senate, you need just over 50%, so 51 votes or whatever, to win out of 100. But to bring the legislation up for a vote, any senator can filibuster. Any senator can basically block the legislation. And if they block it, then you need 60 votes in order to bring the legislation up. So in other words, once the legislation is voted on, you need a simple majority, 51 votes. But to bring the legislation up for a vote, any senator can object. And if they object, now you need 60 votes to break the objection, to say, oh no, we want this legislation to come up for a vote. 60 of us vote yes, bring it up for a vote. And then it comes up for a vote, and then you only need 51 votes. Making sense? That's what a filibuster is. Filibuster is when you basically say, it can be a filibuster where I'm going to keep talking, right? But to stop you from keep talking, 60 senators have to say, and it's very hard to get 60 because right now Republicans are maybe 53, 54. You'd have to get 6 Democrats on board. Not easy. So yeah, I'm not going to, I hear you, Snow Chem, but that's way more complicated than it's already hard enough explaining a filibuster to people. I think like Americans vaguely get it. Foreigners are probably going, what are you talking about? Well, what Trump is telling Republicans to do is screw it. Get rid of the filibuster. We've got 53, 54 Republicans in the Senate. If we only need 51 to win, we could pass everything we want. And Trump said, by the way, we can ban mail-in ballots nationwide. Now, I'm not convinced they can. Voting in general, election stuff is the domain of the states. It's not the domain of the federal government. So I don't know if they can actually ban mail-in ballots, but he wants to. And they're trying to do it because Democrats do very well with mail-in voting. Republicans don't. As though Donald Trump himself votes by mail, which is it's not funny. He's a taco. He's a hypocrite and a liar, but he votes by mail. So in any case, so Trump told them today, you need to get rid of the filibuster and you can pass all the election legislation you want. It's like, all right. EB is asking a question on YouTube, by the way. Thank you, EB. Very generous of you. Does California redistricting create more Dem seats than would be lost in Texas, or too early to know? I believe it's equal to Texas as I recall, but now we've got other states doing it too. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks, because I haven't looked at this recently, but I believe Texas was 5 seats and California was going to try to create 5 seats, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's equal. Yeah, Leanne is saying it's equal. That's 5 each. Yes, everyone's saying the same thing. It was equal, but then other Republican states started doing it, and we said, oh, shit, right? I can't remember. Indiana, Trump wanted them to. Indiana's been saying no. Another state said yes. I can't remember. God, it wasn't North Carolina, or was it? Okay, German says North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina did it. I think North Carolina, grabbed 1 extra seat. I don't want to guess on this stuff, but I think it was 1 extra seat. Missouri's looking at it. Yeah. So, or Missouri did it. Or was Missouri the one that did it? Missouri's doing it. Okay. So the problem is there's more. So we would need more Democratic states to do it as well. Illinois was looking at it at least. Now, this is where it gets fun. 2 things. 1, voters are pissed at Republicans right now. If Republicans go and try to steal seats across the country, how are voters going to feel about them then? If Democrats are so pissed that they're turning out in wild numbers in elections that are very, I don't want to say they don't matter, they matter, but this is such an off election year, it's not even funny. I mean, it's just a very small election year, and Democrats turned out like crazy. Imagine what they'll do next year if the Republicans try to steal all the seats. So that's the first thing. Second of all, if you're a Republican, and I've even seen Republicans on TV talking about this today, they've been saying, they were like, or on Twitter, they said, I don't know, if you're a Republican right now, considering what we learned last night with the election, that Democrats are getting great turnout, that Republicans are not turning out, that Latinos were not there for Republicans the way they were there for Trump. Do you really want to, for example, redistrict the seats in Texas? And they already did, I think, but redistrict the seats in Texas and did they finish in Texas? I can't recall. I knew they were doing 5 seats, but I thought they finished. But do it based on your presumption of how Latinos are going to vote. Because basically you carve up the seats, right? And you divide up ethnic groups and everything else by making the maps crazy, these crazy maps. Like a district isn't like this. A district could be like this with a thing sticking out and a thing on the top. It's crazy, like just geographically what they do. Well, Texas redrew the maps, assuming how Latinos were going to vote based on how they voted for Trump. Guess what? Latino vote changed now. Suddenly in the last year, it changed. Latinos, oh, what a surprise. All those Latinos who voted for Trump. Gee, what could it be? Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Gene. What could it be that made Latinos go, my gosh, maybe this guy isn't so good for us after all? Who knew he was going to do a jihad against Latinos? Oh, I'm sorry. I knew. Every one of us knew. Trump had said he was going to do it. But nonetheless. So, and he did it during his first term as well. Oh well. So, in any case, Trump and Latinos. So you're redistricting based on how you think Latinos are going to vote and based on how you think people are going to vote. But what we learned was we don't know how people are going to vote. I should rephrase this. You cannot base redistricting on how they voted when it came to Trump. Now you're going, holy shit. Right? If we put these seats in play and change everything, are we really going to win them? Republicans are now saying. So anyway, the whole redistricting thing, Republicans have now been given pause as to whether it's such a smart idea or whether Democrats have now gotten people so angry. Well, Trump's gotten them angry, but Democrats have gotten them riled up to fight that the redistricting might blow up in Republicans' faces and they may lose more seats. So that's great. What was the other thing? The Democrats hit very hard. Oh, the shutdown. The shutdown's getting interesting now too, because, and especially with Trump saying it. I mean, Trump saying, oh yeah, they're going to blame, they blamed. Actually, what Trump did was very stupid. Maybe it's true. I can't find the polls. Maybe it's true that Trump, that the polls show that the voters punished Republicans for Trump shutting down the government, right? Or they blamed Trump as the one shutting down the government. Let's put it that way. You don't admit that. You don't admit that. Stop. No. God, my dog. You don't admit that because you're now making it a fait accompli. You're making it a truth. Everyone around the country is going to show clips of Trump saying, yeah, I understand voters were angry about the shutdown and they blamed Republicans. Now Trump himself has told people around the country, yeah, everyone, basically everyone agrees that we did this. Even if Trump himself isn't exactly admitting that Republicans did it, he's, you know what I mean? Like once you tell everybody, once Donald Trump himself says, oh yeah, voters went crazy and punished us last night because of the shutdown, they blamed us. Everyone starts going, well, wow, if voters across the board, if a majority of Americans blame Donald Trump for the shutdown, maybe Trump is guilty of shutting things down. Maybe it is his fault, right? I mean, by him admitting that, it adds more credit. In other words, it's not just Democrats saying it's Trump who's actually responsible. Trump himself says, oh yeah, a majority of voters think I'm responsible. Okay. Thank you, Kim. Love that gift. Oh, it's got a key on top too. Thank you. Right. So that was dumb of him. That was very dumb of him. We're going to get to the Supreme Court in a minute, Mina. So that was very stupid. Little more here. A lot of the Democrats, Mickey Sherrill, Spanberger, the governors elect now of Virginia and New Jersey, they focused on two things. You know how a lot of the smarty pants consultants have been saying, media too, don't talk about Trump. Voters want to hear about the economy. They don't want to hear about Trump. Well, Spanberger and Mikey Sherrill, again, the two who won the governorships in Virginia and New Jersey, huge races. They both hit hard on inflation and Trump. And they basically went out. It was 50-50. Trump is a horrible person, and affordability, inflation. And basically, it's easy to hit on Trump too, because you say inflation, and Donald Trump promised he was going to address it, and he's made it worse with his tariffs. Voters listened and voters agreed. Now, keep in mind, remember the other day I was telling you, Harry Enton, who is really interesting, thank you, Booty, who is a really good poll analyst at CNN, election analyst. And Harry Enton was saying the other day that in the last 90 years, every time one party won the governorship in New Jersey, governorship in Virginia, and mayoral race in New York City, they went on to win the House of Representatives. He said 5 out of 5 times. Last night he was getting very excited, and I was wondering about this when I watched him. It was maybe a day and a half ago, or like the day before the election. He was getting very excited about this. I'm telling you, this is big. This is big. When you win these 3, it means it, again, doesn't mean you're going to win the House next year, but it usually means you're going to win the House. He was getting so excited that it was interesting to me, because he was getting more excited than he was admitting, basically. And to me, that meant somebody who really knows the numbers is thinking, oh my God, this is turning into a wave, but he didn't want to say so. That's what I think was going on. And I like him and I trust him. So that was very interesting. So yeah, this is, let me look a little more here. I'm looking. So the shutdown stuff I was going to say. So Trump admits the shutdown, or said voters blamed him for the shutdown. If you're Democrats right now and you think we just had a wave election where voters punished Republicans horrifically because they believe Republicans are to blame for the shutdown, ceteris paribus, as we say in debate or the law, all things being equal, do you, maybe not even ceteris paribus, if you're Machiavellian, if you're kind of crass if you're only political and you don't care about substance, but you only care about politics, and you've got the government shutdown, and voters are blaming that shutdown on Trump, okay? Do you do everything you can to end the shutdown, even if it means caving and not saving Obamacare and not saving people's insurance premiums from doubling, right? Do you not put the money back into Medicaid and demand it gets put back and save millions of people who will lose insurance on Medicaid? Or do you say, well, if voters are blaming Trump for the shutdown and they voted magnificently, right? They voted incredibly against Trump last night, then maybe we should just sit back and say, well, you give us what we want, which again is to save Medicaid and renew the Obamacare subsidy so people's premiums don't double. Or we're going to sit back and watch the voters get even more pissed at you. Now, there are real harms to the economy in that. There are real harms to people not getting paid. We know that. The food stamp dilemma. But if you're just looking at this as politics across the board, and I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way, Democrats, the message to Democrats right now is you're in a much better position than you were 2 days ago on the shutdown, because voters are blaming it on Trump. They're not just blaming it on Trump; they're really blaming it on Trump. I mean, they destroyed the Republicans in the elections last night. Imagine what they'll do next year if Trump drags it out anymore. So I think Dems are holding and should hold. They should keep demanding what they should keep offering to meet. Actually, they did. They sent another letter to Trump today offering to sit down and talk, which is very smart. They didn't say that. What they didn't do is they didn't say, we're not going to do anything because we won the election. They immediately wrote a letter to Trump and said, sit down and talk to us. Let's figure this out. Just to make it clear, like, no, we're the ones willing to talk. So it's good. And he doesn't want to. The other thing because I'm sort of getting, I did do a video on TikTok about this because people were asking last night on TikTok, like, what does this mean going forward? Republicans in Congress. Right now, Republicans in Congress are extremely worried about what's going to happen with the elections next year. Next year, 1/3 of the Senate is up for a vote, 100% of the House of Representatives. House of Representatives votes every 2 years. The term is only 2 years for House of Representatives. So every person in the House of Representatives has to run for office every 2 years. They're looking at last night's results and going, holy cow, this is bad. And they know it's bad because people voted for Donald Trump, right? Because people voted against Donald Trump, I should say. By the way, keep the gifts coming, guys. I'm terrible at pitching this, but please do keep the gifts coming on TikTok and YouTube. Super fans are always welcome. New subscribers, but also the regular gifts. They help support my work, so I very much appreciate it. Lots of benefits for the super fans, including my weekend show. If you're a Republican in the Congress right now, you are, I guarantee you are not. Many of them are not loving the fact that they've got to do what Donald Trump wants. They've been doing it, but right now it's starting to freak them out, and they're starting to get scared about losing the election next year if they do. What will be interesting to see is, do any of them get the nerve to stand up to Trump, to disagree with him, or will they just, and I wonder if they'll just refuse to. What I mean is, I wonder if they're going to say, no, I'm too scared. I'm just going to agree with Trump anyway, and it's going to cost them the election. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene, this could be the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing. Yep. MYN, whatever your name is. It very well could be that what she's doing, because she's the Trumper, the MAGA person who's gotten just very normal lately, and it's been very strange. So let's see. She's been the outlier. She's been the exception of Republicans willing to stand up and go, my party's not doing enough on healthcare, right? Thank you, Yvonne. So let's see. But that's another big impact of this election is it is much harder for Republicans now to defend Donald Trump, to stand with Donald Trump's crazy stuff. They're going to want to because they're going to be scared, and they're scared of their base. But electorally, these guys are worrying about their seats next year, which is great news. So that's fabulous. And to some degree, if they decide to defend Donald Trump and keep agreeing with his policies, they're screwing themselves at the ballot box, which is good anyway. What else? Let me see here. Supreme Court. Let's go to Supreme Court briefly. So Supreme Court, very interesting. Supreme Court case was today. U.S. Supreme Court talking about Trump's tariffs. Did not go well for Trump, which is great. A number of the conservative justices were not happy about what Trump is doing. It's a very complicated issue because it's not just whether Trump was lying about this being an emergency. First of all, it's got to be an emergency. Is it really a national emergency that Brazil imprisoned its former president who tried to violently overthrow the government, and you got mad because he's your friend, so you put 50% tariffs on Brazil? That's not an emergency. Is it really an emergency that Canada did an ad quoting Ronald Reagan talking about how bad tariffs were, and Trump was offended, so he put a 10% tariff on Canada? That's not an emergency. So that's the first issue. The law says it has to be an emergency. Is this an emergency? The second issue, which I was not aware of, was it's not clear that the law says Trump can even put tariffs. The law talks about messing with licenses and other stuff, but it's not clear whether the way the law is written, it even implies the president can screw around with tariffs. So that may not even be one of the things he gets to do in an emergency. So very interesting stuff. Suffice it to say, a lot of the analysts overall, the sense from people overall was the court was very skeptical of Trump's powers here. They're very skeptical of what Trump is doing. I saw one analyst on CNN saying he thinks at least 2 of the Republican justices are going to walk and side with the Democrats. If you get 3 Democratic justices adding on to the 2 Republicans, that means Trump loses 5 out of 9. So very interesting to see what happens. Very interesting to see what happens. We don't know. Trump is classic Trump is trying to play the justices. It'll be the end of our country as we know it if I don't get to put tariffs. And you're like, well, okay, first of all, melodrama queen, get the Congress on board. We can put more tariffs on Brazil. Just have Congress do it, right? If you're right, convince Congress to join you. You want Democratic votes? Give them something. Maybe give the Democrats the Obamacare subsidies if you want your tariffs, right? That's how you do it. But he's trying to win over the Supreme Court, and it really bothered me because Amy Coney Barrett or whatever, the woman Trump appointed during COVID, she made an argument that I wish I was debating there. She made an argument. She said, well, but the president has already collected, thank you, Booty, has already collected $90 billion from, American citizens and American business. Because remember, the tariffs are a tax on Americans. From American businesses and American citizens. It would be extremely difficult to return all that money if we strike down what Trump did and find that it was illegal. My response to that would have been, ma'am, in America, we do not let the president, A, break the law, and B, continue to break the law because it will be hard to enforce the law, because it'll be difficult to fix the crime that he committed. Right? There is no crime on the planet that we do not prosecute because we say, oh, but it'll be really hard once we prosecute them. No, you're not allowed to break the law. And with a president, it's even more so. I don't like individuals breaking the law, but when a president breaks the law, it changes everything. You start, because the Supreme Court ruling means every president going forward can break the law. Every president going forward can do this tariff crap. But her argument blew my mind. She literally was like, it will be extremely, I don't know the exact quote, but I was listening to it live, or not live. I listened to it live, but I was listening to the recording of like half an hour ago. And she goes, but it would be messy. Was messy the comment? Thank you, darling. Actually, that's even better. Messy. Yeah. It'll be very messy if we've got to return $90 billion to all these companies and all these people. And again, well, ma'am, what if $90 billion was swindled from these companies and these people? Would you not go after the person who swindled the money? Because it will be very messy to return $90 billion that was stolen. It will be. Yes, it will. But that's not a reason to let somebody go on and commit a crime. That's not the reason you, A, don't punish a crime. It's not the reason, B, you don't stop the crime from happening going forward. Because maybe it'll be messy to return the money. Again, the argument just blew my mind she would say that. So you're saying we should make legal decisions based on how comfortable they are, based on how hard they are? Why don't we base it on the law? Wouldn't that be the best thing to do? And you're admitting that it's illegal what he's doing, but you're going to allow it because it's hard to return the money, but you're also saying he now can steal even more money from people going forward because your decision is going to ratify it and make it okay. Anyway, like I was listening to it. I was just like, I want to be there arguing with her. I didn't hear what the lawyer said back to her, though. But man, it'll be messy. Yeah, well, yes. Also that too, well, I don't think the framers, actually, that would have been an answer too, ma'am. I don't think there's a messy exemption. Actually, that would have been my answer. They don't want you being sassy, but I would have said, I don't think there's a messy exemption to the United States Constitution. Period. That is not something in jurisprudence. It's not something in the law. It's not something in the courts. It's not something in, if you get arrested, you cannot say it's going to be messy if you prosecute me. The law is the law. Anyway, Wandering Chill, thank you for the question, the super question, so to speak. Made my whole family, who tend to only vote in presidential, vote for 2 utility commissioners. Oh, that's the Georgia stuff. I meant to mention those. 2 utility commissioners in Georgia. I'm surprised enough Georgia Dems came out to flip that. Yes, so this election in Georgia where if this is the one I'm thinking of, for the first time in like 40 years, Democrats won these seats for some utility commissioners. They're like some smaller seats, but for the first time in 40 years, Democrats won them in Georgia, which again, it is across the board from big to small. Or 25 years? I had heard 40 yesterday. 25 years is still good. Yeah, Racing is saying the same thing on here on the TikTok. Yeah, yesterday I heard 40. Or it was a different Georgia thing, or somebody got it wrong when they said 40. But 25 years is huge, right? 900 years exactly. 9,000 years. No, I mean, that's what makes it a wave election. We're basically like a tidal wave coming in. Every election gets impacted from big to small. Really cool stuff. No, this was great last night. So yeah, so on the Supreme Court stuff, the tariff stuff does not look good for Trump. Let's see what happens. It's not clear. Hang on, let me put this down. I'm going to adjust my seat now so I can sit back. It looks like they're probably going to. Oh, hello! There's our first turkey of the evening. Thank you, Booty. my Joey turkey. It looks like the Supreme Court might make a decision soon. The thinking was that they were not going to wait until the spring, that they would make a decision very soon. So let's see. I mean, with TikTok, they did it. God, was TikTok later that week, or was TikTok a week later? I'm trying to remember. TikTok, it was within a week or two. Thank you, Sean, for the dino. It was within a week or two that they did it for us for the TikTok decision. So this could be very. I don't remember. Was it just a couple days? What, I keep feeling like it was 3 days after or something. Am I wrong? Thank you, Chezak. Relaxed goose. Lindsey Graham comment about lowering their taxes and offing the right people. I don't know what that means, Ash. I don't know. You want to write that again? I don't know what that means. I did not see any Lindsey Graham comment though. Rex is okay. Rex just mentioned something, by the way. Thank you, Rex, for that. That somebody was mentioning Mississippi on TikTok, but I didn't know what. They said Mississippi too. 2 seats in a deep red area, a very Republican area of Mississippi, flipped to Democrats as well. Interesting. Oh, just text me, Ash. Text me a message. Yeah, so that was very interesting too. So anyway, sound should still be okay on TikTok. Somebody's saying sound. If it's not, maybe folks tell them to leave and come back. What's up with my watermelon cup? It was my mom's and I liked it. She had a set of them my nephew wanted. So I said, okay, I'm taking one. You can have the rest. So, but I think it's cool. Isn't it kind of a pretty, I just think it's pretty. Yeah, it's fun. It's water with my watermelon glass. But as I said, I just thought it was a pretty cup, so I kept it. And it is. It's pretty. It goes with my apartment lighting. So, anyway, Kate is saying she saw an interview with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on TikTok talking about the Marjorie Taylor Greene stuff. AOC said Marjorie Taylor Greene wanted to run for Senate and Trump and his squad shut her down. Now she's off the rails a bit. Oh, interesting. Oh. Rex, you broke the Republican majority in the state house. What do you mean? Democrats didn't get the majority, did they? In Mississippi. Yeah, so maybe she's on a revenge tour, which would be very funny. Very funny. Hang on, checking Ashley's message. She can't put public. 1 moment. Oh, okay. Lindsey Graham. Let me see. Lindsey Graham has bonkers defense for GOP not denouncing Nick Fuentes. Oh, right. Okay, so Nick Fuentes is the neo-Enzi, basically white supremacist. Oh, hello. Thank you, Hyde. Thank you for the. Oh, that's the Trump wig, isn't it? I believe that's my Trump wig. That's my Trump wig. Actually, I should make one of these also be my my Caroline Levitt wig. Should be one of the prizes as well. There, we'll do the Trump wig for a minute. So yes, Nick Fuentes, Republican Trump supporter who is truly a white supremacist. He has praised Hitler, the German from World War II leader. I know my nose is going to itch more now. That's true. But hey, I'll do it for money. What do? I do it for the gifts. America's on a righteous. Wait, what was this? America is on a righteous path as a harbinger of death. Senator Lindsey Graham told a room of Jewish conservatives regarding the topic of Israel and Hamas. What the hell? Oh, this is from the New Republic. the South Carolina lawmakers spoke at the Republican Jewish Coalition in Las Vegas to waylay concerns about Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes after the ex-Fox News host gave a softball interview to the proud anti-Semite. Yeah, so Tucker Carlson, big Republican, Fox News guy who got fired, basically, did an interview with Fuentes, the Hitler supporter, basically, and did a softball, like a nice interview with the guy. And then the Heritage Foundation, the biggest Republican think tank, defended him. And for TikTok, remember TikTok, your new rules say we're allowed to discuss this stuff if we make it clear that we're discussing these issues because we are criticizing them. So I'm allowed to talk about this topic because I am criticizing the anti-Semitism and criticizing the racism and the bigotry. Just a reminder. So in a loose, rosy-cheeked speech, Graham affirmed that he's in the Hler sucks wing of the Republican Party. A denomination that apparently needs to be spelled out these days. In the same speech, Graham brushed off Fuentes' interview while praising the Trump administration for killing all the right people. I've been asked 1,000 times about this crazy interview. I keep telling people we're good. Our party is good. We're real good. If you asked me, you go to college and you ask me a question, why do we spend so much on Israel? Wait, what? I hear you, dog. Anyway, okay, yeah, he's talking about killing a lot in the interview. It's a little weird. All right, now I'm going to give the dog a little bit of water. 1 second. One moment. All right. There you go. Now you can get some more water. All right. No, you're not getting a treat. I know. It does kind of feel like the hour has changed. Yeah, the time change thing. She's waking me up an hour early every morning now. I'm like, oh my God, it's driving me insane. It's freaking time change. Unbelievable. Yeah, so it's kind of a goofy interview. Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, I agree. So anywho, oops, where are we now? There we go. Marjorie Taylor Greene is playing a long game, Peter says, seeing Trump is in a downward spiral. She's likely backed by Bannon Tucker to be. Now, that's an interesting question, too. I mean, she's clearly, I don't know, she's clearly playing some middle of the road thing that's very strange. Yeah. Strikes in Venezuela, nothing new. He did do another one yesterday afternoon, maybe. I remember, hey, Terry, thank you for the kittens. I remember seeing yesterday there was another strike in the Pacific off of like Colombia or whatever, or Panama or Colombia or whatever, but I didn't, took out more boats, but that's all I saw. I didn't see any today. But yesterday there was. Still plans on mobilization, I'm sure. I mean, again, today was all election news, obviously, because that's the big story in America. Well, and the UPS plane went down, but it was election news. So there's really no discussion of other issues, really. And the Supreme Court, that was the other big story today, the tariffs. So, but no, I'm sure he's still going to, he's probably going to go after the, well, the thing is, what is interesting about Trump is, the one good thing is this confuses him because now he doesn't quite know what to do, right? He knows the voters aren't liking what he's doing. Having said that, he doesn't really care about the voters, right? I mean, he wants to have revenge. So I don't know if he cares if it hurts. Well, he cares a little bit because he doesn't want Democrats to win the House next year and screw everything up, because then it makes it hard for him to basically be fascist man. All right, I'm letting you out, but I'm going to yell at you in a minute here. All right. Jeez. Right. So I good question as to whether this is going to tone Trump down, but it certainly makes things complicated because if he doesn't want Democrats to take the House, everything he's doing with his fascist National Guard stuff and everything else is setting Democrats up to take back the House, to win in the election. So what does he do? And we'll see. Correct, Rex. There's no way to prove whether or not these guys were smuggling. That is correct. Well, they've got intelligence, supposedly, that led them to make these decisions, So what else we got, guys? Still pretty early tonight, actually. I mean, knowing Trump, I think he will double down and go harder. Yes, I think so, Irene. Because that's Trump. Trump is not the, gosh, people really didn't like what I did and it really hurt Republicans in the election. I need to really think about this and be better, right? I mean, that's not going to happen. All right, dog, let's go. There you go. That's ample time for you to sniff and not eat. All right, that's better. That's better. All right. But yeah, I don't see Trump being like, wow, I've really done some introspection now and I've realized I'm hurting the party. I need to be more moderate. He wants to hurt everybody who's ever harmed him, right? You know, he's going to try to punish Dems, but honestly, the good thing now is it's working. I mean, this actually it would have been interesting to have Ruth Ben-Ghiat on like now after the election to sort of, well, just to get sort of a further take. Well, we'll get Ruth again if she's willing to come on. I've gotten so much good feedback about her coming on the show. I thought she was great, but people really liked her, which is great. So very good stuff. Oops, go on, dog. Here, you want to go sit down? There you go. There you go. Yeah, she was amazing. I saw a historian say the shutdown is the coup. I mean, honestly, they think dog food is a coup. They're just, they're just stupid. Oh, thanks, Karen. Appreciate that. Yeah, she's amazing. Should Pelosi call it quits? I don't see why. Unless is she losing her mind? If not, I don't care. We talked about this yesterday. Yasu Helen or Eleni, but if her brain is there, I don't care how old she is. I mean, we talked about this last night. Age is irrelevant to me. If anything, the older you get, the more experience you've got. The only question I have is if you're losing your mind, like Dianne Feinstein was on death's door. She literally died it was ridiculous. She died in office, right? Bernie Sanders, he's old, but he seems to be not just all there. He seems to be boom, boom, boom. If Bernie can do it, yeah, no, but it depends how she's doing. Bernie Sanders is close to that age. Is Bernie 83, 84? Hey, Google, how old is Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders is 84 years old.
84. I mean, and Bernie's like, damn, right? So, I mean, 86 is she 86 already? Hey, Google, how old is Nancy Pelosi?
85 years old.
85. Okay, she's 85. Yeah, but I mean, that's getting there. If she is still sharp, I'm okay with it, but she'd be an exception at 85. But Bernie seems to be an exception at 84. No, that's the only thing. I've told about this before. What I don't like about the should she resign thing is there is this cute thing among some people, and it's young people, it's not old people, where, and I experienced it as the United Nations too. There's this concept that because you're young, you know more and you know better. And literally, I had my staff, I had one of the top political blogs in the United States, in the world, really. And my staff, who have been working on the internet for 3 years of their lives, were trying to lecture me, who had been working on the internet for 20 years, internet politics, about what kind of stuff goes on blogs. And I was talking about grabbing videos and like YouTube videos and things and putting them up there and writing commentary. And one of my staffers goes to me, "You can't put YouTube videos in blog posts." It's like, what are you talking about? No one does that. I said, we've been doing it for 10 years. Quite successfully. You write some commentary. It's great. No. And I found it there all the time. They felt, because it's the Ronald Reagan joke from the campaign, really, from the debates. They felt their youth and inexperience was somehow a feather in their hat that made them more qualified. Literally. Like I've been doing this for 3 years. Where do you get off after 20 years thinking you know more than me with 3? And the fact that I'd been doing the internet for 20 years meant I knew less about the internet because I was old. And that's what pisses me off with the Pelosi stuff and everything else, is it is fine to demand that people like Dianne Feinstein, who are clearly were not with it. She should have resigned long ago. And there's other Republicans that were the same way. Strom Thurmond. But there's this notion that they're in their 70s, and we told us last night, and they've been there 30 years. Yeah, and? So you mean they've earned the right to be there and you haven't, and you want them to give up the job so you can have it instead? Mitch McConnell will be another one. He's clearly got some issues going on. He shouldn't be there. Exactly. But as I said, I think it is bigoted to suggest that somebody older knows less than you because they're older. If anything, they know a hell of a lot more than you because they've got more experience. That does not mean, however, that younger people might bring more flexibility. I had a friend who worked as a headhunter, and she actually told me, she said one thing she noticed, which was actually very interesting. She said, one thing I noticed was, she goes, workers over 50 tend to be less flexible because of their experience. her experience was they would often be less open to new ideas because they felt like it's always worked this way. Why should we do it differently? And that's a fair point. That's a fair point. But that's one plus for young people. The other plus for older people is they've got 30 years experience. So they've got a hell of a lot more experience to draw on to say, hey, we've tried this in the past. We've tried this in the past. Maybe this would, it's not either or, but also, as I've said yesterday, unless you're not planning on living long, you will get older and you will be able to get that job too. For example, if the leadership positions are everybody in their 60s and 70s, well, then wait until you get to be 60 or 70 and you can do it too. What's the problem? Right? What's the rush? And I feel that way like with corporate CEOs. If the CEOs are people who had to work a long time and work their way up, whether it's in the one company or various companies, that's the way it works. You don't come in at age 25 and think, I'm going to be the CEO. I mean, granted, maybe Mark Zuckerberg does, but normal people don't come in and think they're going to be the CEO at 25 or even at 35. You work your way up. And when you get to that point, you too can be a CEO. But this is not a trophy, Yeah, I know, but too bad. I know, I'm with you, Mackenzie. Mackenzie says, I just feel like I'm tired of 75-year-olds making decisions for me. Yeah, and I don't want 25-year-olds making decisions for me. I mean, I don't care, to be honest. I'm devil's advocating. But it's the same argument in reverse, right? Why should I want kids making decisions for me? Right? Thank you, Eddie. That's why you just have to have elections. And if they win, Nancy Pelosi's people want to keep electing her. Who are we to tell San Franciscans they shouldn't elect her as their representative? They like her. Again, unless literally she's not there anymore, which is which was the Dianne Feinstein problem, right? And the Mitch McConnell problem, really. I mean, that's bad. So anyway, Kay Granger, I don't remember. Yeah, but Bernie's not on his way out. Actually, 75 is not on your way out. Not even close. No, I would say most 75-year-olds are still quite with it. 80, my experience has been 80 is when you start to see people diminishing a little bit and stuff like that. Not necessarily hugely, but you start to see people diminishing at 80. That I've seen. 75, well, 25-year-old's going to be more agile. A 25-year-old also doesn't know shit. I mean, 25-year-old? I don't want a freaking 25-year-old in a position of power. Are you kidding me? I mean, as an advisor, sure. As a congressman? Ooh. I mean, no way. Running a company? My doctor? Like Doogie Howser's my doctor? I don't think so. I mean, people are 25 and doctors, but I'd rather not have you as my doctor at 25, to be honest. I mean, but yeah, 75 is not usually, and also women tend to be sharper longer. But again, it's person specific. My dad started to have some memory issues at 79. Okay. Right. Mom's memory issues didn't start till I think she was 92. And then all of a sudden, then she started having occasional little slips at 92. I mean, she was sharp until then. Now, that doesn't mean mom should have been a senator at 92, but, it depends on the person. And Bernie Sanders, like we said, I don't work with Bernie day to day, but Bernie seems to be quite still there for 83 or 84, so 84, I think it said, quantum computational theory. Ooh, that's funky, Yeah, Senator Grassley, there's no way he acts like he's with it. There's no way he's with it at 92. There's no way. He shouldn't be there. He really should not be there. It's inappropriate. Yeah. Elon and Doge, what were you responding to me or somebody else kind-hearted? Because I'm not sure what you're referring to. Maybe you're responding to somebody else. Yeah, Gunther says they've got to also have the physical ability to perform the job. True. Yeah, a lot of travel, a lot of meeting people. That's true. No, that's true. Yeah, I can't imagine having that because I think by the time you're that age, I'd be exhausted. I mean, I'm already exhausted, Yeah, McConnell, there's something going on with McConnell, clearly, Then again, Then again, McConnell has been voting against Trump. I kind of want McConnell to stay through the election. He's been voting against Trump and standing up to Trump. So, even, our democracy comes first as far as that goes. The Queen 98, Rosie? I didn't remember she was not that old. I thought she was 95 or 96. Was she 98? Hey, Google, how old was Queen Elizabeth when she died?
Elizabeth II was 96 years old when she
96.
died in 2022.
96. Yep, 96. That's what Google said. I was going to say, I thought it was 95, 96 or so. You're still close. I wasn't going to question you because you're British, but I thought that sounds a little too